Welcome to the solution for the hands-on activity, Developing Effective Prompts. Now that you have completed the hands-on activity, let me walk you through how I would approach these tasks. By the end of this activity, you will be able to develop effective prompts that maximize the functionality of Copilot for data analysis. You will learn how to create clear and concise prompts by defining your goals and providing necessary context. Additionally, you'll discover techniques to break down complex tasks into simpler prompts, iterating and improving them for greater effectiveness. You will also perform sentiment analysis to extract meaningful insights from customer feedback and generate actionable recommendations based on the data, leveraging Copilot's responses to enhance your decision-making process. So to begin, download the Module 5 Lesson 2 Hands-on Activity dataset. For the first task, you need to focus on identifying customers who have had a poor experience. Your goal is to filter the feedback for ratings of 3 or below, and sort the data by sentiment score to prioritize negative comments. To do this, you need to start with a clear goal. So we need to prompt Copilot to filter the customer feedback to show entries where the rating is 3 or lower. Once the prompt is executed, select Apply. A quick scan shows the filter was a success. But now let's add more context to narrow down the results. Use the prompt, sort the filtered data by sentiment score in ascending order. This will help us to identify the customers who had the most negative experiences first. Select Apply. If Copilot does not meet the goal, refine your prompt to obtain better clarity. However, we have achieved a successful output for these prompts. For the next task, let's split the feedback into positive and negative categories. To do this, we need to use the sentiment category column and remember to provide clear instructions for Copilot to follow. So once again, let's define the goal. So let's use the prompt to separate the feedback into 2 categories, showing positive and negative based on the sentiment category column. And then select Apply. In this instance, Copilot has assumed we wish to filter for only the negative sentiment category. However, this is not exactly what we intended. So let's take this a bit further and add some more context. So we'll ask Copilot to summarize the number of entries in each of the categories and to provide an average sentiment score for each category. We've used the prompt to list the number of entries in each sentiment category and summarize the average score. Let's see the output from Copilot. It has produced the sentiment category as well as the average of the sentiment score. Let's add this to a new sheet. And this is the output we were expecting. A summary of the average sentiment score by the sentiment category. So the lesson here is to iterate your prompts and refine your prompts in order to achieve the results you're expecting. Next, we might want to understand the common issues within the customer feedback. So this task requires analyzing the most frequent keywords used in the negative feedback. So let's break this prompt down into smaller parts. First, we'll ask Copilot to filter the feedback to show only the entries where the sentiment category is negative, and then select Apply. While Copilot has successfully executed this prompt, this is still quite a vast list to manually sift through. So we can narrow the task down. In this prompt, we've asked Copilot to summarize and identify the common keywords in the keywords column where the sentiment category is negative. It produces a list as well as a Word version to describe that it has summarized the common keywords in the keywords column as bad, poor, and unfriendly. This is far more helpful. Finally, we can add some context to ask Copilot to provide a summary of recurring themes based on the most common keywords in the negative feedback. Once again, Copilot has produced a list, and in the description, it tells us it has summarized the recurring themes based on the most common keywords, and some of the themes include unfriendly and slow. So we can take these themes, extract them, and address them with the marketing team. Next, we will want to visualize the sentiment data. So let's start again by setting a clear goal to group the feedback by sentiment score and categorize into positive, neutral, and negative groups in order to understand the overall sentiment distribution. Let's add this to a new sheet. And here, Copilot has summarized the sentiment score by feedback comments and sentiment category. This visualization may appear a little overwhelming, so let's simplify and break down this prompt and see if we can yield a successful result with something simpler. So I'll use the prompt, summarize the sentiment score by the sentiment category. And finally, with natural language, we were able to obtain a bar graph showing the sentiment score per sentiment category of positive, neutral, and negative. So finally, after analyzing the data, the final step is to generate actionable recommendations. We've already experienced iterating prompts, so let's create some recommendations for the marketing team using Copilot. Here, the goal is to prompt Copilot to suggest recommendations for improving customer satisfaction, as we need Copilot to focus on creating specific, actionable insights based on the data. So while Copilot is not able to provide 3 specific recommendations, it shows us how to address negative feedback, enhance positive experiences, and monitor neutral feedback. So here we need to iterate or redo the prompt and refine it for a more accurate result. So here we are being more specific by asking Copilot to address the most common negative feedback themes. And finally, Copilot has produced 3 actionable recommendations for improving customer satisfaction, which is improve service quality, increase efficiency, and enhance customer interaction. Great! Let's recap what we've done. In this activity, we leveraged Copilot to analyze complex customer feedback data from a recent survey, helping your marketing firm extract actionable insights for a new customer experience strategy. As a data analyst, your tasks included clarifying goals and adding context to filter and sort negative feedback, categorizing responses into positive and negative groups, and identifying common keywords in customer comments. You also visualized sentiment trends to provide a clearer picture of customer satisfaction. Finally, you used the insights gathered to generate specific actionable recommendations for improving customer satisfaction, ensuring your team can address the most pressing issues effectively and efficiently.